Who owns the rights to the interior of the Great Pyramid? NASA.
What? They own the what?
The rights. I was told by one of the guides a couple years ago that, get as much as you can coming in here because they say that they may one day shut off access to the king's chamber. I said, why would they do that? He said, well, they're afraid that, the pyramid's earthquake or something could make it unstable. I'm like, this thing has been here for thousands of years. It's not going to become unstable. That's foolishness. What's happening is they've discovered something technological about it, and they want to control it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a new video. And in this video, we are going to be looking at how to detect woo.
There's certain things that people say where you're dealing with woo. Oh, this is some woo-woo bullshit here.
So, in order to be able to detect woo, we need to confidently know what is woo. Woo is nonsense spoken confidently. That's what woo is. It's when a person, as we see in the age of the internet, in the age of YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, things like this, people being able to speak confidently, but speaking utter nonsense, and their nonsense isn't being identified because of the confidence in which they speak. And as you just saw with the video that I opened up my video with none other than Billy Carson himself, saying that NASA owns the rights to the interior of the king's chamber.
What the hell is even that?
Now, obviously that's nonsense, but he says it with such a degree of confidence that people believe him. So what is nonsense? I know in one of my previous videos I used it quite a lot, but what I mean by the word nonsense is not just nonsense, but it is actually in the context of educating others. It means dispensing impersonal information about the world without objective evidence. Okay, so now that we know what nonsense is, let's look at some keywords that these woo-woo doctors like to use to woo us. One of these keywords is ancient texts. So that phrase, ancient texts, immediately sounds mysterious and it sounds authoritative. So what I do when I hear people say things like ancient texts, I like to ask them, okay, what ancient text? Who wrote it? When was it written? And where are the manuscripts for this ancient text? Now, the reason why I ask people those kinds of questions is often because they would quote stuff from 100 years ago that somebody wrote, and they would just refer to it as an ancient text. Now, clearly it's not, but when you push them, when you press them, they are forced to provide you a source. And if they can't, it just ends up being hearsay. And why the questions about manuscripts is purely because if somebody wrote something in 300 BC, but the earliest manuscript we have comes from the 15th century, clearly that text is not going to be that reliable. Because there's over 1,000-year gap between when the author originally wrote his text and the manuscript that we're holding in our hands. So, ancient text is one of them. The next one is sciencey words. Words like quantum physics, words like frequency, words like energy. When people start throwing around words like that outside of a context of a scientific chat, they are generally trying to woo-woo you. Okay, a firm example of this is I was in a group chat with one of my friends and he said something really interesting. He said that there is an ancient depiction of the god Vishnu as a fish, and there's a progression of fish to a amphibious animal and to a boar and so on until it gets to a warrior and then a prince and then something else. Now, that depiction in his mind looked like Charles Darwin's evolution, and he was fascinated that here you have these ancient texts showing that evolution was present in the understanding of these ancient people long before Charles Darwin. And at first I was really intrigued by this. However, upon doing further research, I realized, okay, well, the fish that he opens up with, that fish, I actually made a video on that fish, because it's actually the god Vishnu taking the form of a fish to warn a man named Manu about a great flood. I actually made a video on that previously. And all the other animal forms was basically the god Vishnu taking on those forms to help people. So it's not like people weren't around, it was just that this god Vishnu takes on this form to help people. So nothing to do with Charles Darwin or evolution, but you could see how at a surface level, if somebody just heard my friend say that, they could instantly think, oh wow, evolution is in these ancient texts. So that's just one example. So that's it. That's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave me a like and subscribe to the channel. All the best and take care.